Hi everyone, it's Shannon with Mixed Media Minnesota. Welcome to my channel. Today I am recording a video for, I received a message from one of my subbies asking me about how I make my covers. And I did show this on a previous video, but I thought I would just do a video on it again. Like how I build, like, I guess the guts of some of my covers and how I use the cereal box cardboard. Okay, so I am here with it and I'm going to show you. You can use cereal box or anything like that. I just have some of this, it's like chipboard. They're 8.5 by 11. I believe I got these on Amazon. I did get a bunch from someone else too before. So we'll just get right to it. Just take your cereal box or whatever you have for your base. Doesn't matter what it is. And then what I do is I cut two pieces that are 9 inches by 6 inches. So 9 inches tall by 6 inches. Because typically in my journals, so 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper folded in half, it leaves you a little bit of a border at 9. You have half an inch difference. And then I usually trim off, the edges on my digitals and things, so they end up a little smaller. So they fit nicely in this size. And I do also leave the fabric hang over a little bit on it, which I'll show you that. And so 2 at 9 inches by 6 inches. And then if you want a spine in it, then 9 inches tall by however wide you want your spine. I cut this one at a 1-inch spine. That's typically the size that I do use. Or I don't do a spine, I just do the fold. I have a travel size base here that I have finished that I'll show you what I mean. So I don't have a spine in this one. The signature would just get sewn in the, the crease here. So this one is a travel journal size. And the travel journal size that I make is 9 inches. Let's see here, make sure I tell you right. 9 inches by 5 inches. So 9 by 5. And then this is just tie-back envelope. So I just have tie-back envelopes and I just cut the flap off here and then I cut it, and I believe I did, let's see, for a 1-inch spine I cut it in, in a 4-inch strip, and then where it's sealed here I just cut that off. So then I end up with a long piece of this. And the tie-back envelopes, they don't rip, they're sturdy and strong, so I like to use those to reinforce the spines. And what I do, we'll just go ahead and start. I use a Fabri-Tac glue. And I just, so there's like a shiny side to this, and then there's like a dull side. I glue on the dull side. I don't know if that really makes a difference. That's just what I do. And then you can see the natural fold in the envelope here. I use that as my top. So when I'm talking about the top, that's what I'm meaning. Because then when I fold this over, I try and line them up at the top, you'll see. So I just go ahead, and I know that this goes down, you can kind of see in there, about 1 inch from the bottom fold here. So I just put Fabri-Tac on the can't talk today, on the tie-back envelope on the not shiny side, and I just bring my glue down to about 1 inch, trying to get close to the edge here. And it's okay if I go further because we're going to glue the entire thing at some point, so that doesn't really matter. So you just want to get good coverage of glue because you want this to really grab on there. So I'm just going to set that aside. And then what I do when I have a spine is I try to just eyeball the middle. It doesn't have to be exact. Then I just try and put that up to that top fold there that I was telling you about. And so when I have that on there, I just set it down. And it will wiggle around in the Fabri-Tac and scooch around, so you just kind of got to keep messing with it to get it to stay. When I get that in there, I just kind of push that down so the glue kind of pushes out of under it. And then what I do is I take my 2 9 by 6 pieces and I do the same thing, leaving a smidge of a gap in between. That's where our book is going to fold. So you have a little bit of time with the Fabri-Tac. It'll let you move it around. So I just try and make sure that my tops are lined up. And then, sorry if my head is in the way here, I can't really see from this angle. And then I do the same thing when I have that little tiny gap in there. I just try and push the glue and get it to attach on there pretty good. And then I do the same thing on the other side, just leaving a tiny little smidge in there, again, for the fold in my cover. Lining the top up. Just trying to get it pretty close to the other side. It doesn't have to be exact, but I mean, you want to try to get it pretty close. So when the bubble's out in that, I just wipe it out. It will get moved out when we use our bone folder to crease that. I'll show you that. Then what I do is I start with the top, and I just put the glue on the top piece of the envelope that's above. So adding that all over on there. And then I just fold it over. And I hold this, I try to hold this like one finger on the middle one so they don't slide too much. You can fully let that dry before you go on to this step, but I'm pulling it down. I want it nice and snug right up here. So a nice snug line up there. So I just keep pulling that, and you can use an old credit card or something for that if you want to. It does work too. So, and then this is going to be all covered, so it doesn't matter if you make it look icky. Okay, so, and then I go on to the bottom one. I do prefer to use my hands when I'm pushing that down on there versus the card in this step, just because when it pushes it all out like that, then my hands get way stickier when I do the next piece. If I entirely used the card, maybe it wouldn't be so horrible, but it pushes more out. So if that makes sense, I don't know. Okay, the same thing with this. Now I'm going to pull it up, and it's okay if these sides don't line up. You're not going to see that anyways. Sometimes they're a little wonky, so I just kind of flip it over so now that this is like on the top, because it's easier for me to pull towards myself. And I'm just kind of rub that glue in. Okay, and then right here where this one overlapped here, if you take your card, let's see, take your card and kind of go down, the glue will come onto that. That's where I said my hands get really sticky. Okay, so you have a nice tight line up here and down here. Now this step is important. You don't want to forget to do this. You want to definitely wait and let it dry before you fold it. However, I take a bone folder, and you can kind of feel that little groove that you made in there and kind of run it up that. You want to run that up and down a couple times to get that glue pushed out of that fold. Okay, so then you go to the next one and do the same thing. Whoops. Okay, so we have that in there. And now I don't want to fold it, but I do want to flip it over and do that same exact thing here. Just lightly run that bone folder in that crease. Okay, so that's where it's at. And then I leave these sit and dry for a good hour or so before I come back and fold them. You don't want to fold them because these will move, and then you lose the stability of it and everything else. So I have this I'm going to set aside. Okay. And then, let's see, I have a really messy one here. Like I said, I made the mess, but that's okay. We don't see this anyways. But this one is really icky. But, so this one is dry, pretty much dry. So I'm going to go ahead and show you. You can fold it. So then you have your journal. You have your 9x6 cover and your 9x6 back, and you have a 1-inch spine. And again, if we didn't want a spine in there, we just wanted it folded where our signature is going in, you just simply fold that. You know, you just do that little bone folder in here once, and then when it's dry, fold it. And then I like to come back and, you know, do that to get that good crisp fold on there. On these ones, not so much. You can, however, you just simply, you know, flatten one side. You know, you can push it down and, you know, and then flip it over. Same thing on the other side. And just run that up and down there. Because this is, you can reform it. You know what I mean? Because when I ship these, because I am going to start selling these, I've been asked you know, and saying I should, you know, I've been told that I should sell them, make them to this point here and add fabric with them, kind of a do-it-yourself cover starter set. And so I'm going to start doing that, and when I ship these ones with the spine, obviously they're going to be shipped flat, so then when you get it, you would just pop it back open. Okay, so I wanted to show you one more trick. Excuse me. Let's see here. I'm going to be working on a Christmas one cover. So this obviously is not Christmas. I got this at the thrift store. It's like quilted, and it's got like, it's fun and all. It's got, you know, fruits and veggies and little flowers on it, but it's like quilted, and I want to use it. I want to use the green side for my outside cover for Christmas. So I'll just use that. Okay, so obviously we're going to have it like this, and then let's just go ahead and do this. Okay, but I want to show you before I do this step here. So my inside fabric on this one is going to be this. Obviously this has to get cut down. So you can see the white tie back, you can see through that. If that bothers you, there's a really easy fix to that. I'll show you here, because I don't really care for that. If that happens, a lot of times I will run lace in the spine to cover that, you know, so you don't see it. It doesn't matter if you do leave it. I mean, you can see it, that's fine. But there's a really easy fix. I just cut 9 inches by 5, because this is 6, so I just cut 9 by 5. And you're not going to see any of this. It's not a big deal. It doesn't have to be glued in there great or anything, so I just use a glue stick. My glue stick's all yucky. I just use a glue stick, and I don't even go all the way entirely, you know, making sure it's really good. I just kind of follow the edges a little bit on it, because it's going to be covered in there anyways. So just a couple strips of glue here. Line up my bottom corner is usually where I start to line it up, and then just press it down. Okay, so now I'm going to show you the difference before I put the next one in there. Well, I hope I was in frame on there, but okay, so, and if you use light and vintage fabric, a lot of times you can see it better. I'm hoping you guys can see what I'm meaning. Like, you can see the line here. On this side now, you can't see anything. You know, that white, it just covers it. So I'm going to go ahead and add the next one on here as well. Okay. So again, I'm just running a couple lines of my glue stick just so it doesn't move around on me, that's all. Starting, and I line it up in the bottom corner just because it's easier for me to see that, and on the bottom, and then just pressing it down. And if you're off a little tiny bit, it does not matter. You're not going to see that. So there you have. And you could do that on the front as well. If your fabric, you know, it shows through, you can do that on the front and the back, the inside, wherever you need it to be. This one, obviously, I'm going to be fine because it's quilted. Okay, so then the next step that I do is I take my, you know, the front, the cover, the outside cover, we'll say, and I lay my fabric out, and I typically cut it, you know, like, okay, so the fabric that I'll just show you really quick. I'm going to get this out of here. I'm going to move this too. Maybe it's easier to see, I hope. So the bundles that I'm going to have in my Etsy shop here, I'm just cutting fabric. Like, this will be the outside or inside, whichever the person prefers. And I cut these ones. This here is, so we have 6 and 1 and 6. So that's 6, 7, and 13 inches. That's what this is, 13 inches with the 1-inch spine by 9. So I cut it 10 by, I believe I did 15. So you have plenty of room to, you know, if it works, this fabric's kind of thick, but you can fold it in, you know, however, if you want to do that. Or what I like to do is glue them in here and then simply stitch around, you know, just grabbing the edge of the cardboard and then taking like a pinking shears and trimming off so it's a little bit jagged on the edge, or just cutting it. However, you know, you can also then put lace in here. I'm getting ahead of myself here, but you can do so much with it once it's to this point here. So let's go ahead, and I'm not going to cut this down until after it's glued on, just because I think it's going to be easier than trying to figure out exactly where I need to cut, because my corners here are, you know, this isn't exactly the right size or anything. So, but there's no, it's not directional, it's just polka dots. So than the stitching. So I go ahead and I take my Fabri-Tac and this is going to be stitched as well, but I do want it to grab. So I just come in, not quite to the edge, because I know that I'm going to sew around it, and I don't want to gunk up my needle too bad. And I just add some glue, trying to kind of avoid that, you know, the, what do you call it, the lines, the fold lines there, but yet grabbing some on the other. Okay, so that's all I put on there. And now this one, if it were square, you know, obviously you'd leave the same distance on each side. Okay, so I just want to make sure that I have like a 1/4 inch on each. So it's kind of crookedy here, but, or it feels like it to me, maybe not to you guys from seeing that view, I'm not sure. And then I just press that on there. So I want to give that a good rub, and it's easier, you can feel it, you know, through just fabric. This here, I can't really feel the glue, because I would usually rub it and rub it so I don't see the glue lines. I don't like when I get those, but on this you're never going to see it on the side. Okay, so then I flip it over. This isn't as important, but if it were fabric it would be. I would flip it over and kind of rub on it, and then I let this sit as well. I am going to go ahead and cut around this, I think, or should I wait? I don't know. Let's see here. I probably should have ironed this as well, and I didn't, but that's okay. We're not going to now. I think I'm going to go ahead and cut around. Well, now I'm wondering. Let's see if I just cut around the red here. I can feel, you can feel that cardboard, and when you're sewing you're going to want to feel that, you know, while you're feeding it into your machine as well. So I just want to make sure I catch all the corners. I'm going to go ahead and glue this one on, and I should have probably done this one first because now it's like squishy, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to fold that down. I'm not going to add a lot of glue. You know what, I wonder if, means I'm going to stitch it anyways, and I don't want it to bleed through on this, and it's going to be hard because this is quilted. I should have done this one first. I'm just going to try it once with the glue stick to just see if I can kind of get it to catch. Because like I said, when we sew it, it's not going to go anywhere. So you guys are probably like, duh, it's going to work. Or it's not going to work. I don't know. I should have ironed it because I'm not going to get those wrinkles all pushed out, but that's where I would, that's what I do. I always try and push out to get the wrinkles out of there. But I'm okay if there is some wrinkles in there. That's fine. Okay, so that did kind of grab. So that worked well. So let's go ahead and, again, I'm trying to avoid the fold lines, but I'm just going to run some up and down in there. Okay. I know I tell you guys this all the time, but I absolutely love this Scotch Create glue stick. It is by far my favorite. I have a bunch of other ones that I use, and I did buy like a whole case of these. And I do like them, but I prefer the Scotch Create. To me, it seems like it stays wetter a little bit longer. It doesn't dry as fast. And I just order those right on Amazon. I think I get them in a case of like 4, and I prefer the fatter ones. What is it? 1.41 ounce one. So maybe it's just because I'm lazy and I don't like to go back and forth so much, as like these little ones only have 0.29 ounces in them. So okay, here. I get distracted easily. Okay. Okay, so now I would leave this set for a while, and then definitely before I sew it, I'm going to leave it set. I am going to go ahead and cut this a little bit, and I'm just going to use, I think should I just use this? You know what, I'm going to cut it around on here, so I don't even need that. Where's my regular fabric scissors? Okay. See, this corner, when I cut that, I have to be careful because it's right on the edge when I cut it with my pinking shears. But let's see. I have to visually see this rectangle, so I need to get rid of these ends here. Okay. And this will all get trimmed more as soon as I'm done sewing it, but I'm not going to sew it until it sits for a little while. So I'm kind of excited to be adding this kind of a do-it-yourself cover starter kit in the Etsy shop. I'll be adding a couple of those in the next day or so, maybe a couple later today. I've been cutting a bunch of my, what I call my cover stock. It's a little thicker, you know, like, I'll show you really quick. Well, I showed you these already. I like to use the thicker ones, and this here I think was like a table placemat thing. I like thrift stores, I love them, but the placemat things I like too, because there's different textures and stuff. And then I have like this, and like this here one, it'll come apart really easy, but once you stitch it, it won't. So then I have this as the inside piece, and then that as the outside, and I think that's going to be a really pretty journal. So it'll be that, and then the inside cardboard and tie back piece. And then let's see, I have a couple of those ones, and I have one of them with the green inside. I really like this green, and I thought it looked really cool with that. So, and then some of my Christmas ones I want to get to, and then I have just this, like, it's like camouflage fabric. And then, so I thought that would be fun for a fall or nature outdoorsman kind of journal. So, here I go again, easily distracted, right? Sorry, guys. Okay, back to this. Get this one cut off here. And then I'll just do a zigzag stitch around it after it dries good. So I have all those little scraps we could do fun things with. Isn't that funny how like you look at things so differently? Like, I don't throw hardly anything away unless I get in a mood where I'm definitely going through things and stuff. Then yeah, then stuff ends up going. Okay, so this is what I was worried about with my corners, but I do have plenty enough room in there so that when I sew it, you're not gonna see that. That'll just trim off. That corner's good. Yeah, that corner. Yeah, these two are for sure good. This one is good. This here is the closest one, but I think it'll be just fine. And then you won't see that either. It'll be cut because it's going to be, you know, a smidge smaller yet, and then cut with the pinky shears. So I know you don't want to fold these, but I'm just curious. Okay, I do like to go when I glue this. Now I know I just have glue stick in here. When I use Fabri-Tac in here, you definitely want to do this again. And just run it on that crease. And if it bubbles, it's okay if it bubbles. A lot of times I'll just add lace or another strip of fabric in there, or leave it. You know, you're going to have pockets and stuff in there. So, it happens all the time. And once it's stitched and stuff, and I should not be folding it yet, but I just have to see. It's not going to be too horrible. But I do like to add a little piece, another piece of fabric in there, because then you see it on the front and the back anyways. You don't have to. It's completely fine. But, so that's the beginnings of Christmas journal cover. So I hope you guys, I hope that was helpful. They're fun to make, and like I said, you can use cereal box, you can use anything you want. And all you have to do is just, the tie back envelope is key. That is so strong, so when you sew your spine in there, or your signature in your spine, it doesn't rip. It's very strong. It's those, you know, envelopes you have to cut open when you get them in the mail. Okay, so again, this was 9 inches by 6 inches. 9 inches by 6 inches, and then however big you want the spine, you want it the same height. So 9, and this one's 1 inch. Or you could do 3 inches, how many ever inches you want it to be, your spine. Or you don't need a spine, in there, and you just do that and sew your signature in there. So let me know what you think, guys. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we will see you soon. Thanks for watching.